design. It's Anvil Aerospace. Anvil is basically, it mostly builds fighting ships for the Navy, the IAE Navy. So there's a lot of military grade ships today. So it looks like we're off to the left and in the center here. Alright, we've got the Carrack right off. The Hornet series, or at least some of the Hornet series. The Hornet is one of the baseline fighters for the Navy. This is the tracker, so it has the sensor disc rather than a turret. It still has enough weapons to be quite dangerous, but it doesn't have the upper deck turret or upper co-pilot turret. This is the Hornet Ghost. So it's their stealth fighter. Still a fairly good weapon complement. So this armaments still doesn't have the extra turret on top. And they're one-man fighters, no cargo. All they do is specifically go out and fight. Here's the Hornet Mark II, F7A. So the civilian. Won't let you in that. See, he's got the chin gun, he's got the gun up top, guns on wings. So a lot of firepower in one area. So it's been a standard fighter for quite a long time in the game. So, good little fighting ship. Let's go back over here. Attention visitors to the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. So the Carrack. There's so much about the Carrack. They have it as Expedition and Pathfinder. Most people are looking at it as a mobile carrier because it has, or mini carrier, because it has a deck up on top for launching its own fighter. Hornet flavor. It has up front, it has a cargo space for a vehicle. It has the dropout cargo areas all throughout the bottom of the hull. So multiple cargo spaces. It has, 4 decks? And one of those is the observatory that's very at the top in the back. Has huge crew quarters, has the top tier med bed so you can respawn on this ship. You have all sorts of amenities, engineering, drones, the whole works, all stuffed into this. My complaint about it is for a single pilot, there's no guns. You're just the pilot. You have to have a crew to run its gun systems. So, not taking this one out unless you have a crew with you. Alright, the Terrapin. The Terrapin is a cool little ship. It's basically for exploration or pathfinding. So it's got a scanning set in it. On top it's got one of the big scanning discs. It's got the chair you sit in to run active scans. It has extra armor. So like a turtle, you can slide the armor over the cockpit and everything, so it gives you a little more armoring. The only real problem with it is it has these 2 little chin guns here, but it's slow to start out, but it has a higher top speed, so it's fairly fast in a straight line. It's not going to be a fighter, but it is well armored, so it can take pretty good hits before you start having problems. And right now, the gameplay for it isn't quite in the game yet, but it is getting there with scanning and stuff. Eventually, at some point, we will be able to fly to different systems, scan for materials and stuff, and sell that information back to other players to make money. Okay, this is the Terrapin Medic. So basically the same thing as the base Terrapin, but they ripped out the scanning part and put a med bed in. So it gives you a mobile scanning or mobile spawn point and an armored vehicle. So very safe, very reliable. It's going to get you in and out and hopefully keep you alive or bring you back to life. Kind of sucks you can't get that one. Alright, let's go to the rest of the halls. So the one thing about Anvil is everything is usually a military purpose built vehicle. Some of them didn't make the cut for the Navy, so they get sold to civilians with pared down weapon sets. And oh, here's another fun set, F8 Lightning. We couldn't get the Hornet. We're probably not going to get this one because this is their heavy fighter. Oh, wow. Well, this is the civilian one. It doesn't have as many guns, but all these guns that you see, the lower wing ones, the outer wing ones, the upper turret on the back, are all slave to the pilot. So that's all run by the pilot. You don't need a co-pilot to run all the guns on this. So a lot of forward-facing firepower. Awesome fighter. I will have to play with that one. Alright, this is the Spartan. Anvil makes several of these vehicles. They're a big 8x8 vehicle. This is one for troop transport, so multiple seats for your Marines. Turret gun on top to help support them once you get them there or get them there. Armored, all ground transport for those areas where you can't just fly in. And this is the Valkyrie. It's a drop ship, so I think it has space for like 20 Marines and a vehicle. Probably not something that big, but maybe some tumbrel vehicles. And then once you drop the Marines off, it has the gun setups to support them, give them aerial support. So it does a lot of air-to-ground fire, which is great if you're doing Marine drop-ins into a hostile area. It's not a great fighter, but it can fight. And it's is it medium fighter? Yeah. It's fairly decent in a fight. You just don't want to go up against anything super heavy with it. Like you wouldn't want to take on the F8 Lightning with it. You could probably take on some lighter ships with it and have a fair chance of winning, especially if you have a full crew. Alright. Oh, cool. Here is the Anvil Arrow. It used to be the meta for fighting ships. As a light fighter, it has a lot of forward-facing weapons. It has the two under the wing. Yeah, and it's got the little top turret that's slaved to the pilot, and a decent array of missiles. I believe this is the bomber. Yeah. The Gladiator. And it's basically a Hornet that has been refitted it for specifically being a bomber. Bomber gameplay is not 100% in the game, but it is useful. You can bomb ground sites with stuff now, and that would probably be very good for that because it has a lot of forward-facing firepower plus bombs. Okay, this is the Pisces, and a lot of people with bigger ships are buying this one. If you have a bigger ship that does not have a med bed, park this in your hangar, and all of a sudden you have a med bed. It's fairly small. It's barely bigger than a snub fighter. Has that Star Trek runabout look going on for it. I in-game actually purchased one of these because it makes for a, and I just have the expedition, it makes for a good, I've been killed out here in the middle of nowhere, jump into this vehicle, fly out there, recover my body kind of a vehicle. It's nothing special, but it can get there. It has decent range and decent, fighting power once you set it up. It is not a fighter by any means, but it can fight. Alright, this is the Hawk. The Hawk is a cool ship because it all folds up like this, so it takes up less space when it's landed. It has multiple guns on it. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there's more up there. So there's about 6 guns, forward-facing guns on it. And most of them are set for disabling things rather than destroying, because this is a bounty hunter ship. This back area opens up. You put the guy you've captured in that, lock him in the back, and take him to wherever you turn him in to collect the bounty. It is not currently a functional gameplay yet in the game, but it's cool that specialized ship is there for it. Alright, this is the Anvil Hurricane. It is a heavy fighter. It's great because it has these huge guns right on the front nose of the, these are the pilot's guns here, these two. And it's a pilot-co-pilot situation. The co-pilot has the turret on the top with the 4 size 3s. These are like size 4 or 5 cannons on the chin turret. And they're great because they're all right out in front of the cockpit. So it's very easy to put things on target, even when they're juking back and forth. You're not blocking your shot with your own hull. So it makes it a great fighter. But you need that co-pilot, or second person with you to get the full effect of its firepower. It's very agile for its size and the fact that it's a heavy fighter. So it makes up for what it takes that extra person for fighting with its, effectiveness. Still love these dioramas. Alright, so now we just got downstairs.
Gathering the latest and greatest from manufacturers across the empire. The Intergalactic Aerospace Expo is where spaceship enthusiasts come to take flight.
Those little gray cat runabout parts are great in there, except for maybe the stairs. Alright, this looks like the other, this is the ballista. So, same thing as the Spartan, same frame anyways, but just set up different. So this is the anti-air missile. So you have a little cockpit. I have a little missile control cockpit here. So that runs the big missiles. I have this guy up here driving. You'll also control the little turret up there for self-defense against ground vehicles. Well, that's taking out your incoming ships. I think those are like size 8 missiles, so they'll take out a fairly big ship. Okay, and here is the Centurion. So this is another anti-air based vehicle, except for rather than using missiles, you're using size 7 guns. And they're quad mounted, so they can pour just a ton of firepower out. Same situation, you get a gunner for running the big guns, then you also have the driver running the turret. So you can defend yourself from other ground vehicles that may try to hunt you down while you're taking out air vehicles with it. Or I believe that can depress down low enough that you could take out some ground vehicles too. Which that size 7 quad would really tear things up. Especially if they allow you to change out the weapon type and do a ballistic weapon. It wouldn't be a long-term defense, but man, it would tear things up. Okay, and the Legionnaire. There's the Legionnaire. It doesn't quite look like the boarding ship. It looks more like one of the characters. Oh, Anvil Crucible. So I think the sign's wrong over there. So this is the Crucible, which is their heavy repair rebuild ship. So it's going to be much larger than it appears here, because it's going to take other ships, basically land them in that little flat spot and do major repairs on them and rebuild. So after a battle, these would come in and repair your fleet that's been tore up. Okay, here's the Legionnaire. This looks correct. So this is the boarding ship. So you fill it full of Marines, it'll lock onto your airlock, override it somehow, or cut into it so that you could charge in with all your Marines and take over a ship without blowing it up. It's supposed to have some digital tech war stuff on it as well. Okay, Ample Liberator. So this is their little pocket carrier. You carry multiple, I think it's like 4 or 5 light fighters on it. Ships that don't have the range to get out to where the battle is. You put them on this, jump them in there, they would take off, and they could come back and be supported by this vehicle, refueling, rearming kind of a situation. So just a pocket carrier. And Paladin. So this is not quite what I was expecting for the Paladin. It's looking more like the Crucible design, because the Paladin's supposed to be a heavy gunship. Yeah, so I'm thinking they got their gray box model mixed up, because I don't see heavy gun turrets on the front of this. Well, it should be all over it for the Paladin, which would be what you would use to do like blockade breaking and your frontline hard charging ship with heavy armor and heavy guns to break open a hole in the defensive line. So that looks like everything for today. Thank you for listening to me. I'll talk to you later.